Now, getting the most out of our wine is really not rocket science. Drinking wine is enjoyable and can be a lot of fun, but I really believe there's a handful of things, really simple things, that we can do that will make it even more enjoyable. There are at least 5 mistakes we make when drinking wine. If we can get a handle on these and correct them, we'll enhance our experience. Are you ready to correct 5 big mistakes? Come on, let's go. Hey there, Posse. I'm Pierre, and welcome to Asti Wine Consultants. As we're learning more about wine together, there are 5 big mistakes that at one point or another we all have made or make. Once you know what these mistakes are, you'll see how simple it will be to remedy them. Now keep in mind, if at any time you like what you hear, click like, subscribe, and hit the little bell so you'll be notified when there's a new post. Also, make sure you share this with your wine friends. I'm sure they would appreciate it, and I know I would too. Now, there are a whole lot of ways of doing this, so let's start from the beginning. That sort of makes sense to me. Now, first and foremost, make sure you're storing your wine in the right place. The wrong place is a warm place, and maybe where there's too much sunlight, like close to a window, in a windowsill, or on top of your refrigerator. Most of us store our wines somewhere in the kitchen. It's convenient, but not such a good idea unless it's in a dark, cooler closet, like a pantry. So, right places are special places you designate for your wine. They'd be cooler, not warm. Maybe a closet or in a basement. I have a little wine cellar in my basement that serves my purpose. Now, you can find out more about some of the better places at the end of this particular episode. Now, the next thing you want to do is serve it at the right temperature. Now, the way most people approach this is that they serve white wines too cold and red wines at room temperature. Typically, what you'll find is white wine is served way too cold and red wine is served too warm. White wine is too cold if stored or really served below 45 or 50 degrees, and most of us keep our fridges right around 35 or 40 degrees. This does not allow the wine to open up or express itself. You're not able to experience the full aromas and flavors. Although I have to say that if you have a really cheap or inexpensive white wine, the kind that have like cute animals or body parts on the label, then serve those ice cold. You can't hurt flavors and aromas of these wines. They're pretty much limited to begin with. Actually, throw a cube of ice in some of those, especially on a hot summer day. But if you're having a better wine, something more complex, something which is meant to be fruity and aromatic, then take it out of the fridge about 5 or 10 minutes before you serve it and let it sit, or actually pour it in your glass and let it sit in your glass for 4 or 5 minutes. That way it will open up and you'll get the full flavors and aromas, and you'll enjoy it actually a whole lot more. Now, the opposite holds true for reds, particularly really light, aromatic, juicy, fruity reds. Don't store those in the fridge, but just pop them in the fridge about a half hour before you're drinking them. Then, similar to whites, I recommend you take them out of the fridge and sit them out for about a minute or two. You'll find that they'll be a lot fresher and fruitier. The aromas and flavors will be much more enjoyable and intense as the reds open up and evolve in your glass. Actually, you can find out more about the right temperature for your reds and your whites at the end of this episode. How are you doing there? Is this information making sense? If it is, write Asti in the comments below. Now, the third thing you can correct is use the right glass. most of us don't have enough cabinet space to have all the right glasses for all the different wines we drink. The solution is, don't worry about it. If you want to taste all the nuances in your glass of wine, the exact right glass can make a difference. But to simplify things, you might want to just keep on hand red wine glasses, white wine glasses, and champagne flutes. Red wine glasses are designed with bigger bowls so more wine can be in contact with the air and allow it to open up. White wine glasses are narrower and keep the aromas and flavors more focused. The flutes also keep the bubbles and flavors confined and focused. That's good. By the way, with your different glasses, you want to hold your champagne glasses or flutes and your white wine glasses by the stems. It's okay to cradle your red wine glasses to allow the warmth of your hand to open up the red wine. You see how I'm doing this? Now, for more about wine glasses, check out my video. It'll be available at the end of this episode. The fourth mistake we make is we don't let the wine breathe. Like I've said in a previous video, wine that's been in the bottle is like if we were to drive across country. The first thing we would do when we get out of the car is not run a marathon, but to get out and stretch our legs. That's what breathing does for wine. You want to let it stretch its legs. When you do this, it allows the wines to express or reach its full potential, particularly on really high alcohol and younger reds. Again, this is sort of like kids with a bunch of testosterone getting out of a car. The first thing they need to do is run off some of their energy. Let off some of the steam. There's no way they'll be able to sit at the dining table or chill out with their best manners. It's not fair to the kids, nor is it fair to the bigger, muscular, and younger reds. As I've said in one of my other videos, just pour it into a decanter or a pitcher that happens to be close by. You want to do anything you can to allow the wine to open up or aerate to release its flavors. Actually, you can find out more about some of this and about aerating your wines at the end of this particular video. The fifth mistake we want to address is pair wine with the right foods. I have more in-depth video on this particular topic, which you can watch by clicking here. For now, I'll just focus on cheese because many people think it's the quintessential thing to do for a romantic occasion or a wine tasting, red wine plus cheese. But the fact of the matter is, it doesn't do justice to either the wine or the cheese, especially with reds. If you really love both your wine and your cheese, think about this. Cheese can have a lot of acidity, particularly goat and sheep cheese. Oh yeah, and hard cheeses also. Now, when you match those cheeses, which does not have the same acidity as a red wine, particularly big reds, those have quite a bit of tannins and alcohol. What's going to happen is the differentiation between acidity and tannins and alcohol levels are all going to clash. It's going to dry out your wine and it's going to completely dry out your cheese. It's not a perfect match. Now, the main reason cheese is so popular with red wine is because if you're not a big red or big gigantic tannic red wine drinker, then the cheese will soften the wine's tannins. This is like adding cream or milk to your tea or your coffee. That neutralizes the harsh tannins in the coffee and especially your tea. So if you're at a party or a restaurant and all they're serving is big tannic red wines, then actually shame on them, but go ahead and grab a piece of cheese. Well, there you have it. The 5 biggest mistakes when drinking wine. You're now ready to enjoy your wine even more. Folks, thanks so much for investing the time to watch this video. Now don't forget to check out these other videos for more clarification about each of the topics we discussed. If you got something out of it, let me know in the comments below, and also hit subscribe and the little bell so you'll be notified when there's a new post. And also, please share this video if it was helpful to you. I'd really appreciate it. Until next time, cheers.